The email from the dean hit my inbox like a thunderbolt. Emergency meeting regarding inappropriate conduct with Professor Nadia. My hands shook as I read the attached photo of me leaving her house at dawn. Hair still damp from the night before. Her silhouette visible in the doorway waving goodbye. What no one understood, yet, was that one missed bus on a stormy Tuesday had dragged us both into a scandal that would force every buried feeling into the light and make us question if love was worth the wreckage it left behind. I had been running late from the library, the last bus already pulling away when I checked my watch. Rain hammered the pavement outside the English department building at Pacific Ridge University, turning everything into a blurry mess. My final paper for Professor Nadia Ellis's advanced literature seminar was due at midnight, and I knew she was strict about extensions. Desperate, I remembered her address was only a 20-minute walk from campus. She had mentioned it once during office hours when she offered extra help to struggling students. I stuffed the printed pages into my backpack, pulled up my hood and started walking. By the time I reached her quiet suburban street, I was soaked through. The modest two-story house glowed with warm lights against the downpour. I knocked, teeth chattering, praying she wouldn't mind the intrusion. The door opened and there stood Nadia, glasses perched on her nose, wearing a simple gray sweater and jeans that made her look less like the intimidating professor and more like someone I could actually talk to. "Gabrielle? What on earth happened to you?" I blurted out the whole story. The missed bus, the paper, the deadline. She didn't hesitate. "Come in before you catch pneumonia." Inside, the house smelled of coffee and books, shelves lining every wall. She handed me a towel and a dry sweatshirt from her own closet. While I changed in the guest bathroom, I caught my reflection. Eyes wide with panic, hair plastered to my face. I had always admired Nadia from afar. Her sharp lectures, the way she quoted poetry like it was breathing. But tonight, with the storm raging outside, something felt different, more intimate. She insisted I dry off properly and even offered to look over the paper right then. We sat at her kitchen island, red pens in hand, and for the first time I saw the woman behind the title. She praised my analysis of Virginia Woolf's hidden struggles, then shared how she had fought similar battles in grad school. The clock ticked past midnight. The rain showed no sign of stopping, and the next bus wouldn't run until morning. "You can stay in the guest room," she said softly. "It's no trouble. I won't have you walking back in this." I hesitated only a second. "Thank you, Professor. I really appreciate it." That was the moment everything shifted, though neither of us knew it yet. We talked for hours after the paper was done. About families that didn't understand, dreams that felt too big, and the quiet weight of expectations. My own parents back in Idaho still sent weekly texts reminding me to find a good Christian husband after graduation. Nadia listened without judgment, her brown eyes steady. When I finally headed upstairs, I felt lighter than I had in months. Little did I know the simple choice to stay would soon cost us both everything we had built. The next morning the rain had eased to a drizzle. I borrowed her umbrella and slipped out at 6, heart still humming from the late-night conversation. Nadia stood in the doorway, smiling that gentle smile. "Text me when you get back safely." I waved, unaware that Mrs. Hargrove across the street had already snapped a photo on her phone and texted it to her daughter, a sophomore in my dorm. By the time I reached my apartment, my phone was exploding. Group chats buzzed with the image. "Gabrielle Thompson leaving Professor Ellis's house at dawn?" The rumors started small but grew teeth fast. Someone claimed they saw my car parked there overnight. Except I didn't even own a car. By noon the whispers had twisted into something uglier. Student and professor, alone all night, both women. The academy's conservative undercurrent, the one everyone pretended didn't exist, latched on immediately. I stared at the dean's email again, stomach twisting. Nadia had already replied to my frantic text. "We'll handle this together. Come to my office after your last class." But as I walked across campus, heads turned. A girl from my study group crossed the quad to avoid me. My roommate texted, "Dude, is it true?" The main conflict wasn't the photo anymore. It was the truth neither of us had admitted out loud yet. One night of shelter had cracked open the door to feelings we had both locked away for years, and now the whole university was about to watch us decide what to do with them. I pushed open the door to Nadia's office on the third floor of the Humanities building. the weight of 100 stairs still pressing on my back. She was already there, pacing behind her desk, the same gray sweater from last night now paired with professional slacks. Her face tightened when she saw me. "Close the door, Gabrielle." The click of the latch sounded too loud in the small room. She didn't waste time. "The dean wants a full report by tomorrow." Someone forwarded the photo to administration with a note about professional boundaries. Nadia rubbed her temples, and for the first time I saw the fear beneath her calm. At 35 she had fought hard for tenure, publishing articles that challenged traditional views on gender in literature, while keeping her personal life locked tight. I should never have offered the guest room. It was reckless. "It was pouring," I countered, voice steadier than I felt. "I would have been soaked and alone on the street." But even as I said it, memories of our conversation flooded back. How her hand had brushed mine when she passed the coffee. How her laugh had made the storm outside fade. I had gone to bed that night replaying every word, heart racing in a way no assignment had ever caused. Now those same memories felt dangerous. Nadia sat down, motioning for me to do the same. "We tell the truth. You missed the bus, you came for the paper, the weather trapped you. Nothing inappropriate happened." Her eyes met mine, and something unspoken passed between us. Nothing inappropriate on paper, maybe, but the way she had looked at me when I cried about my parents' expectations, that had felt like the most honest moment of my life. Before I could answer, my phone vibrated. "Mom." I silenced it, but the screen lit up again immediately. "Gabrielle Marie, call me right now. Mrs. Peterson from church just sent me a screenshot." My stomach dropped. My parents still thought I was the perfect daughter, who would marry a nice boy from youth group. The idea of me spending the night anywhere near another woman, especially a professor, would shatter their world. Nadia noticed my face. "Family." I nodded. She reached across the desk and squeezed my hand once. Quick and professional, but the touch lingered a beat too long. "We protect each other. That's all we can do right now." Her voice softened. "Last night talking with you reminded me why I became a teacher. You see things most students miss. Don't let this take that from you." We spent the next hour drafting statements, careful not to mention the hours of conversation, or the way the storm had felt like it was washing away years of pretending. When I left her office, the hallway was empty, but I could feel eyes everywhere. My best friend, Lauren, was waiting outside the building, arms crossed. "Tell me it's not what they're saying. You and Professor Ellis? Come on, Gabby. People are calling it a lesbian thing." The word hit like a slap. I had never said it out loud about myself, not even in the dark of my own room. "It's not like that." I lied, and the betrayal of those words tasted bitter. Lauren's face softened, but I saw the doubt. "Just be careful. My mom already texted me asking if I knew you were, you know." She didn't finish. She didn't have to. That night I lay in my dorm bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every choice. If I had waited for the morning bus, none of this would exist. But then I wouldn't have seen Nadia without the professor mask. Her tired smile when she admitted she sometimes felt lonely in a town that expected her to be perfect. The realization settled heavy in my chest. I hadn't just stayed because of the rain. Some part of me had wanted to be near her. The next morning the rumors had grown legs. A petition started in the student forum demanding clarity on faculty-student interactions. My inbox filled with messages from people I barely knew. And across town in her quiet house, Nadia was facing her own storm. I didn't know yet that her department chair had already scheduled a private meeting, or that one jealous colleague had been waiting years for something like this to use against her. The department chair's email arrived while I was in my morning lecture, vibrating in my pocket like a warning. Nadia forwarded it to me with one line. "They want to see both of us at 2 p.m. Stay calm." My professor for Victorian Lit kept droning about Dickens, but the words blurred. All I could think about was the price Nadia might pay for one generous decision. I arrived at the administration building early, heart hammering. Nadia was already in the waiting area, posture straight, but her fingers twisted the strap of her bag. She looked up and gave me the smallest nod. Professional, distant, yet it steadied me. When the chair called us in, Dean Hargrove sat behind a wide oak desk, the same photo from Mrs. Hargrove printed and centered like evidence. Professor Ellis, Miss Thompson. We take these matters seriously. His voice was measured, but the implication hung thick. Nadia spoke first, voice even. Gabrielle missed the last bus after working on her final paper. The weather made travel impossible. She stayed in the clearly designated guest room. Nothing more occurred. I backed her up word for word, but my voice cracked on the last sentence. The dean leaned forward. And the early morning departure? Neighbors noticed. Nadia's jaw tightened. I offered her an umbrella. That's all. They asked us to wait outside while they discussed protocol. In the hallway I whispered, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. She shook her head once. No. I made the offer. I knew the risks in this town. Her eyes flicked to mine, and for a second the mask slipped. Raw worry mixed with something warmer that made my pulse jump. When they called us back, the verdict was temporary suspension for both pending investigation. Nadia's classes would be covered. I was barred from campus activities until cleared. Outside, the sky had cleared but the air felt heavier. Nadia turned to me on the steps. We need to talk somewhere private. My house again after dark. No one will see. I nodded, already dreading the texts from my mother that would follow. That evening I slipped out the back of my dorm, hood up, and walked the same route I had taken 2 nights ago. Nadia opened the door before I knocked. Inside, the lights were dimmer, the atmosphere charged. She poured 2 glasses of water and sat across from me at the kitchen table. I've been thinking about last night, she said quietly. Not the rumor, the conversation. You told me about your parents' expectations, how you felt different your whole life, but never had words for it. Gabrielle, I recognized that feeling. I lived it for years before I accepted who I am. Her admission hung between us. I felt tears prick my eyes. I'm scared, I whispered. Not just of the dean. Of what this means about me. She reached across and this time didn't pull away when our fingers touched. Fear is what they count on. But you're stronger than their rumors. We talked until midnight again, voices low, walls coming down brick by brick. When I finally stood to leave, she walked me to the door. Whatever happens tomorrow, remember this wasn't wrong. Helping you wasn't wrong. The look in her eyes said the rest. But the next morning the betrayal came from inside. Lauren showed up at my door with red eyes. I didn't mean for it to spread like this. My mom asked questions and I panicked. I'm sorry, Gabby. She had forwarded the photo to half the dorm. The damage was done. My mother's next call was a scream. Come home this weekend or don't come home at all. Nadia's colleague Dr. Reeves had already leaked details to the faculty listserv, framing it as unethical favoritism. The storm we thought had passed was only beginning. The weekend drive to Idaho felt like driving toward a firing squad. My mother met me at the door with arms crossed, Dad silent behind her. The living room smelled of pot roast and judgment. We raised you better. Mom started before I even sat down. She held up printed screenshots of the campus gossip page. A professor? Another woman? This is not who you are. I tried to explain. The bus, the rain, the paper. But the words dissolved under their disappointment. Dad finally spoke, voice heavy. If this affects your scholarship, we can't help. And the church people are already asking. Their ultimatum was clear. Deny everything publicly or lose their support. I left that night with a suitcase and a heart cracked wide open, driving back to campus in silence. Nadia met me at a coffee shop off campus Monday morning, disguised in a baseball cap and sunglasses. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. They moved up the hearing. Friday. Reeves is pushing for my resignation, claiming I used my position. She stirred her coffee without drinking. I've worked 15 years for this career. But watching you face your family alone, that hurts more. We spent the week preparing, meeting in secret at her house after sunset. Each night the conversations grew deeper. She told me about the relationship she had hidden in her 20s. The woman who left when the secrecy became too much. I promised myself I'd never put anyone through that again. I confessed how I had dated boys in high school just to quiet the questions inside me. Being with you, talking, just talking, feels like the first honest thing I've done. Thursday night the tension peaked. We sat on her couch reviewing statements when my phone rang. Lauren again. The dean wants me to testify. They're calling me as a witness because I saw the photo first. Her voice shook. I can say it was innocent, but they keep pushing for more. Nadia's face paled when I told her. Betrayal layered on betrayal. Friday morning the hearing room was packed with faculty and a few curious students. Dean Hargrove presided. Dr. Reeves spoke first, painting Nadia as reckless and me as naive. When it was my turn I stood. Professor Ellis helped a student in need. Nothing more. If helping someone is a crime here, then maybe this isn't the place for real learning. The room murmured. Nadia spoke next, calm and precise, refusing to let them twist kindness into scandal. They recessed for deliberation. In the hallway Nadia whispered, "Whatever they decide, I'm proud of you." Her hand brushed mine, hidden from view. And in that brief touch I felt the truth we had both been circling. This wasn't just friendship anymore. The hearing reconvened with a compromise. Nadia received a formal warning and reduced teaching load. I was cleared but placed on academic probation. It felt like a victory until we stepped outside and saw the news vans. A local reporter had picked up the story. Professor-student relationship rocks Pacific Ridge. My phone exploded with messages from relatives. Nadia's sister called from Seattle, worried about their aging parents. The price was climbing faster than we could pay. The following weeks blurred into a nightmare of avoidance and confrontation. Campus felt like enemy territory. Students I once studied with now whispered when I passed. My scholarship advisor suggested I transfer to another school, for my own good. Nadia fared worse. 2 of her classes were reassigned, and the department stopped inviting her to meetings. She carried the weight with quiet dignity, but I saw the toll in the way her shoulders curved when she thought no one was looking. One evening I drove to her house unannounced, unable to stay away any longer. She opened the door looking exhausted but relieved. "I was hoping you'd come." Inside, we didn't talk about the hearing. Instead, she cooked pasta, and we ate in comfortable silence until she set her fork down. "My mother called today. She asked if the rumors were true. I told her I care about you deeply." She hung up. Her voice cracked for the first time. "I've spent my whole life protecting the people I love from this exact pain." I reached for her hand across the table. "You don't have to protect me. I'm choosing this, whatever this is." The words hung there raw and honest. She didn't pull away. Instead she turned her palm up and laced our fingers together. "Then we face it together. No more hiding in shadows." That night we talked until sunrise about the future we might build if the world would let us. Quiet evenings, shared books, a life without constant fear. For the first time the possibility felt real. But reality crashed back Monday when my mother arrived on campus without warning. She cornered me outside the library. "Your father and I have decided. Come home, finish school online, and we'll pay for everything. Or stay here and lose us." Tears streamed down her face. "This isn't you, Gabrielle. That woman is confusing you." I stood frozen. The choice laid bare. Family or the truth growing inside me. That same afternoon Nadia faced her own reckoning. Dr. Reeves called her into his office and offered a deal. Resign quietly and the university would issue a neutral reference. "Think of your career," he said. "This scandal will follow you forever." Nadia refused. She walked out and straight to my dorm, risking everything to tell me in person. "I'm not leaving you to fight alone." We spent that night making lists of options. Transfer together, fight the rumors publicly, or simply disappear somewhere new. Each path carried loss. My mother's ultimatum echoed. Nadia's career hung by a thread. The moral weight pressed down. Had we caused this pain by simply being honest with each other? Or was the real crime the world that forced us to choose? Spring finals approached like a closing door. The campus had moved on to fresher gossip, but the damage lingered in quiet ways. My mother stopped calling. Nadia's sister sent a single text. "We love you but need time." We kept meeting in secret, stealing hours that felt stolen from fate itself. One Friday evening Nadia suggested we walk the empty quad after dark. Under the streetlights she stopped and turned to me. "Gabrielle, I need you to know something. What started as shelter on a rainy night became the most important decision of my life." I love you, not as a student, not as a friend. I love the woman you're becoming. The words I had feared and hoped for landed gently. I answered without hesitation. I love you too, and I'm not running anymore. We stood there, foreheads touching, the world reduced to the space between us. No kiss, no grand gesture, just the quiet certainty that we had chosen each other despite every cost. The next morning we walked into the dean's office together holding printed statements. We requested a public clarification. No misconduct, only mutual respect that had grown into something deeper. We offered to accept any additional oversight if it meant keeping our places at Pacific Ridge. The dean stared for a long moment, then nodded once. The university values truth more than rumor. We'll issue a statement. It wasn't perfect. Tenure reviews would still scrutinize Nadia. My probation remained, but it was a beginning. As we left the building side by side, the spring sun felt warmer than it had in months. Months later, on graduation day, I stood in my cap and gown watching Nadia in the faculty row. Our eyes met across the crowd, a private smile passing between us. My mother hadn't come, but I had gained something stronger. The courage to live openly. Nadia had kept her position, though whispers still followed her. We had both paid dearly. Family ties strained, careers slowed, friendships fractured, but we had also awakened to a version of ourselves that refused to hide. Years from now, when people ask how it all started, we'll tell them the truth. A missed bus, a stormy night, and one brave decision to stay. The rumors tried to destroy us, but they only forced us to become who we truly were. In the end, was choosing honesty over silence the right decision? Or did we destroy everything we had for a love society still isn't ready to accept?